Hi, it's Fatmanur Bekem. In this video, I'm going to cover innatist theory. Firstly, I'm going to provide overview of the theory and its significance in the field of second language acquisition. Secondly, I'm going to compare and contrast difference between first and second language acquisition. Thirdly, I will identify and discuss the major theoretical position within the theory of second language acquisition. Next, I will provide critical appraisal, and lastly, I'm going to add my personal reflection. As an overview and significant point of innatist theory in second language, innatist theory is a perspective in second language acquisition that emphasizes the role of innate language knowledge and universal grammar in language learning. Chomsky has not made any specific claims about the implication of his theory for second language learning. However, Lydia White claims that universal grammar is the best perspective to understand L2 acquisition, and not best for others. I will mention about that later. Innatist perspective contain universal grammar competence and performance, crash and monitor models. As significance of innatist theory in the field of second language acquisition, the innatist perspective suggests that there are universal principles underlying all human languages. These principles are hardwired in our brains and guide language acquisition. Understanding this universal can help explain why certain language structures and patterns are challenging for second language learners and inform instructional approaches, while the innatist perspective is just one among various theories in second language acquisition. It emphasizes our innate language abilities, provides valuable insights into the process and challenges of second language acquisition. Integrating this perspective with other theoretical frameworks can help inform effective language teaching practices and contribute to deeper understanding of second language acquisition. There are similarities and differences between first and second language acquisition. Firstly, I want to mention about similarities. Universal grammar is highlighted in both language acquisition. The innatist theory proposed that all humans have a universal grammar, a set of principles and structures common all to languages. This universal grammar provides a framework for language acquisition in both first language acquisition and second language acquisition. Children acquiring their first language and adult learners acquiring a second language both relying on the universal grammar to make sense of the language input they receive. Secondly, the innatist theory suggests that there is a critical period for language acquisition, which is the period in early childhood during which language learning occurs most easily and naturally. This critical period is believed to apply to both first language acquisition and second language acquisition. Besides, first language acquisition and second language acquisition are believed to follow similar stages of development. For example, both first language learners and second language learners typically go through a silent period at the beginning, during which they listen and understand more than they speak. Then they progress through stages of producing a single verse, then they short phrases, and even eventually more complex sentences. And the last point that I will mention as compare both first language acquisition and second language acquisition involve making errors as a part of the learning process. For the contrast, firstly, while universal grammar and first language acquisition proposed by Chomsky, universal grammar and second language acquisition is proposed by the Lydia White. Chomsky has not made any specific claims about the implication of this theory for second language learning, in contrast L1 learning. And there are the other points to highlight contrast. Firstly, timing. Not firstly, but timing. First language acquisition typically occurs during early childhood, while second language acquisition can take place at any age. Proficiency. First language acquisition generally leads to native-like proficiency in the language, meaning that individuals can speak fluently, understand subtle nuances, and use the language creatively. In contrast, second language acquisition often result in non-native proficiency, whereas learners may achieve varying levels of fluency but are unlikely to attain the same level of linguistic competence as native speakers. Input: children acquiring their first language are exposed to a rich linguistic environment where they receive meaningful input from native speakers. In second language acquisition, learners often face more limited and structured input, relying on textbook, language classes, and interaction with non-native speakers. And the last thing that I will mention about contrast, conscious learning. First language acquisition occurs naturally and subconsciously, but in second language acquisition, learners often engage in conscious learning. The other part that I will mention, major theoretical position. Universal grammar and question monitor models. Universal grammar often offers the best perspective to understand second language acquisition. Universal grammar can explain why L2 learners eventually know more about the language than they could reasonably have learned. Other linguistics argue that universal grammar is not a good explanation for second language acquisition, especially by learners who have passed the critical period, because it is mainly about critical period hypothesis does not work in second language acquisition. There are two different views about how universal grammar works in second language acquisition. First one, the nature and availability of universal grammar are the same in L1 and L2 acquisition. Adults L2 learners, like children, don't benefit and need from error connection and metalinguistic information. These things can change only superficial appearance of language performance and not affect the underlying competence of the new language. It is also about question monitor models. Question monitor models adults, like I said, and change only in superficial performance. And the second point that I will mention, universal grammar may be present and available to L2 learners, but exact nature has been altered by the prior acquisition of first language. So it means learners may need some explicit information and instruction. Competence and performance. The innatist perspective said that universal grammar may not be a good framework for understanding of L2, but L2 development consists of two related aspects, which would be competence and performance. Competence refers to the knowledge which underlies our ability to use language. Performance refers to the way a person uses language in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So we can say that it is about how to perform in real life. Performance is subject to variation due to inattention, anxiety, or fatigue, whereas competence, at least for the mature native speaker. Other points that I will mention: critical appraisal. Strength of innatist theory. Firstly, I want to start with strength of innatist theory. Innatist theory provides a convincing justification for the existence of language universal in many languages. It suggests that the innate language faculty provides a universal foundation for language acquisition. Innatist hypothesis offers a comprehensive framework for comprehending the remarkable speed and accuracy with which young children acquire their first language. It highlights the significance of natural knowledge and language-specific input as learning happens. And the other point is weakness of innatist theory. While innatist theory has been influential, critics argue that it lacks substantial empirical evidence to support its claims. The theory is mainly based on Chomsky's theoretical proposal rather than direct experimental observation. As a result, some researchers question the validity and generalizability of innatist claims. And another weakness of innatist theory is the limited explanation of individual variation. Innatist theory frequently ignores individual differences in language acquisition but focuses on universal grammar rules. areas of controversy is the last part for this appraisal. For the areas of controversy, we can say that innatist theory places considerably emphasis on innate knowledge, but the exact interaction between this innate capacity and language input remains a topic of debate. And the second point is connection to other linguistic theories. Innatist theory has been criticized for its limited integration with other linguistic theories and frameworks. Critics argue that a more comprehensive understanding of language acquisition can be achieved by considering multiple perspectives such as use-based theories, sociocultural approaches, and cognitive theories. And the last parts, I will add my personal reflection. According to my observation and the information that I have been read, the innate perspective has logical studies or theories, in my opinion, even though there are criticism and different opinions. This theory made me believe that universal side of language. On the other hand, the reason why I choose this theory is the proceeds more logically than, for example, behavior theory and produce more powerful studies, because while behavioral theory based learning only environmental, innate theory considers environment factor only as an input. Of course, there are other theories in language acquisition, but innate theory is my favorite. However, although it is my favorite theory, there are things that I can find lacking and I can criticize. For example, although there are specific and powerful studies and opinions in innate theory, there's not much considered concrete evidence and support the studies. It is also placed too much emphasis on common grammatical rules by not emphasizing on individual differences. For me, I think the language um, is a whole package. Should be teach us to as whole package. Thank you for listening.